Okay, so here we are again with looking at some of the gloves that we sell at Fight Store Pro, and today's subject is gloves for Muay Thai. Now, Thai boxing gloves and boxing gloves, although they can cross between the two sports, have some differences. So I've enlisted some help today, which is Mr. Juan Cervantes here, who is currently ranked #1 in UK Muay Thai as light heavyweight.
Yep.
Just fought on that show that will remain nameless.
Yeah.
But we won, right?
Yeah.
So good stuff. So I'm going to get Juan to help me out here and talk about some of the things he likes and dislikes about some of these gloves. We've taken 4 brands from Thailand and 1 brand which is actually American, but the glove that we're reviewing is very much a Thai boxing glove in its style and in its padding. It is possibly the odd one out, which is this one here, which is the Rev Gear, but we'll go through. So we have the Rev Gear original glove. I believe this is made in India, not Thailand. Great quality leather. As you can see, a 2-tone glove. Like all the rest, this one has a short wrist, which is one of the key factors that makes a Thai boxing glove and a boxing glove different. We have the industry standard here, which we've got the brightly coloured orange twins, which I think anybody who's been Thai boxing for any amount of time has probably used the twins at some point. Yeah? Have you used twins?
I've never owned a pair of twins, but yeah, I've half the guys in the gym I train have a pair of them.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's still a very, very popular brand. Still one that we get asked for a lot. We've got new brand from Thailand. This to me is like a take on the twins glove. It's got a few little differences. This is called Danger, yeah, or DE. Made in Thailand, and the guy who makes these was involved with Top King for a long time. I think one was eyeing this up before. Yeah. We have the Fairtex in spanking pink, although this is the BGV1, it's the same glove no matter what colour it's in, whether it's got nation print, stars, Fairtex written on it, whatever, it's the same glove. Yeah, and we've got the standard Sandy, I think they're called the Sandy Authentic glove, which has seen better days. This one, it's the only one that's not new, but we had to find one somewhere because I think it would have been unfair to leave them out. So which one do you want to start with? Come on.
I'll start with Sandy.
Okay, so I'm going to go through the reasons why we no longer deal with these gloves, but let's make the first point. It's well made, yeah? It's good quality leather. In fact, all of these are actually great quality leather, but Sandy, you can't really fault the build quality at all. My main issue with the Sandy glove has always been this. When you put the Sandy glove on, your thumb is forced to the top right here. Your knuckles, my knuckles there, are right there where the logo is. You can push that down, yeah? And although me and Juan are using these similar builds, I'm going to ask Juan to try this on and see what his impressions of this glove are. See if he's got the same opinion as me.
It is the same thing, yeah. My knuckles are about here,
yeah.
So I'm punching with
that, yeah,
rather than my knuckles.
Which, in my opinion, over time is just going to cause problems with your hand. Yeah?
Yeah. I wouldn't want to be training long term with you. It's a shame because Sandy got a great reputation for the quality of their stuff. I've heard wonders about their shin pads, about other aspects of the gear, but this glove, I mean, the leather, it feels really nice around your knuckle, but it's just the position of my hand. It's a design flaw rather than...
It's a design flaw rather than an actual fault in the production. What do you think about the wrist on the Sandy?
I like it.
Yeah?
I quite like having, being a Thai boxer, it's quite nice not to have too much wrist cover. It gives you more freedom in the clinch.
Yeah.
These are 10 ounce, so these are what I'll be fighting in.
And this is a point that, I alluded to when we first started here, but the short wrist cuff is a design factor with Thai boxing gloves. In fact, I would say it's one of the principal differences between a Thai boxing glove and a boxing glove. If you look at maybe some of the ringside gloves up here where the wrist comes right back, it's because a boxer wants to keep his wrist really straight and he wants to punch quite a lot of the time upwards, whereas a Thai boxer is going to be higher up, setting up his kicks. That's correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So That's Sandy. We don't stop them at 5-star pro, but we thought it would be unfair to leave them out of this review. But we seem to both have the same opinion about there is a basic flaw that in the position that it creates when you're trying to make a fist. Okay, so this one can come away. Which one do you want to go with next? How about vertex? Because we kind of, prior to this, we decided that there was some similarity, didn't we? So if you take the other one, so everybody loves Vertex. Great brand, great style. I would say it's actually better build construction than the Sandy. You know, the leather, the finish is evidently better. Yeah. Although it has
it's a newer glove.
Yeah, that's true. But it has no real impact on the function of the glove. You know, but the finish is very, very nicely done. Even things. I did notice that on the wrist cuff on the Sandy, if you look there, the cuff's being forced into the top of the glove, so they've got no spacing between the wrist cuff and here. Now, I think it's just a little untidy. I don't think that's going to cause any great problems with the function, but I think with the Vertex it has got a little bit of a better gap between the wrist.
I think it might over time, when you're punching all the time and that's digging into that.
Yeah, it could well. It could well. So one of the things Juan pointed out, although this seems better to me, the knuckles are further forward this time. Marginally. It doesn't. My thumb's here this time. It was there on the Sandy. It's here, which is better when you're making impact, especially if you're an overhand type of a puncher. I mean, how's your punch? I tend to punch this way a lot.
I prefer straight. I've started throwing overhands more and more, but it's quite common in Thai boxing. People look for the overhand.
So with that's not going to cause as much of a problem because the knuckles are further forward, but still very similar in the position.
Similar position, similar position.
The BGV one's kind of a bit of a classic. It comes all sorts of sizes and colours. My personal opinion on this glove is it's a little guy glove. You know, I'd say this is kind of much better if you're under 70 kilos type of a guy. The padding's very soft on the top. I mean, with a boxing glove, like if we talk about ringside or some of the Reyes, maybe some of the rival, the padding tends to be very stiff. I mean, how do you view that differently to, say, some of these gloves here?
I think most of the gloves I've had sort of good padding, but it hasn't been that kind of stiff, hard padding.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of Thai boxing gloves, they might be like puncher's gloves, like Reyes, which is it's kind of good for the sparring, really. It means you don't hurt too many people.
Too many people. It seems to be like kind of a fashion for Thai boxing gloves. Like they could make the padding stiffer if they wished, but you'd think that that's just a stylistic thing rather than something that they're actually trying to do.
Possibly.
Yeah. Not 100%, but certainly the padding on these gloves is very spongy. You know, so it's just going to be a style thing. I owned a pair of BGV ones in the 16 for a while, and I just tended to find that it hurt my knuckles because whenever I was hitting bony parts of people's bodies and then to their head, it was far too easy for me to put my fist through it. But if you're further up and punching over, it's probably not creating the same kind of problem.
I don't know, it depends if it's sort of the power thing that you hit with, so maybe if you're a bigger guy it would. Yeah.
So again, it goes back to, like, I think that this is a small person's glove. Once you get into the bigger weight categories.
I probably agree.
Yeah, good stuff. Right, so we'll lose the Vertex for now. So let's go with the odd one out, the one that's not made in Thailand. Yeah, so let's just get your impressions of this straight off. As I mentioned, the build quality, again, it's really good. The wrist is slightly further back on this one. So I would see this as very much a positive with the wrist because I tend to like a boxer's glove rather than a Thai boxing glove, but that is a personal thing. But I see the Rev Gear original glove as their entry for the Muay Thai market.
I think, I really like that. It's the hand feels in a really secure position, wrist in a secure position, knuckles in a great place.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think
so,
it'd be a great.
so the knuckles in the correct place for sure.
It feels like an awesome, fantastic glove for pad and bag work basically. Just,
How would you see that as a sparring glove then?
What size is it?
That's a 16.
That's a 16. Feels tiny. Yeah, it'll be a good sparring glove as well.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel like there's a huge amount, even though the knuckles in a really good position. It feels like if I push through, I could almost push through to my knuckles. Yeah. I'm surprised they're 16s, but yeah.
You're liking that one?
I'd like to fight these.
So you like trying to 10?
Yeah.
How do you feel about the thumb position on this one, say, compared to the other two so far?
It's it's better. It's right down. You can see there, down below my knuckles, which is where you want it.
Yeah, so unfortunately, this is the only one that's not available yet in the UK as well, but it's going to be available in about a couple of months. So this one's a hit, and it's the only one not made in Thailand.
Is it?
Yeah, the only one not made in Thailand. Yeah. Okay, so let's lose this one for now. Right, so I'm going to go between these two. Now, I feel that this glove here is kind of almost like an update on this glove. So I believe whoever's designed this has definitely had a very good look at this glove beforehand. This, though, is absolutely classic. I mean, as we said right at the start, almost anybody who's been involved in Muay Thai for any amount of time at some point has at least used a set. They might not have owned a set, but so let's see what you think of the Twins one. And I'm going to say on record that, albeit the Twins glove is not my personal favourite glove, I absolutely think it's an excellent piece of kit. It's well made. You can never doubt the quality. The finish on it is absolutely perfect. Like, I mean, I was being complimentary about Vertex's finishing, say, opposed to Sandy, but I'd say Twins here is looking like a level again here.
I think it's good. It's a huge amount of padding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Far more than the Rev Gear and far more than the Sandy.
There's a lot of padding up top as well. It's actually good for taking kicks. These 16-ounce gloves, so they'd be good for sparring as well. The knuckle position is pretty good, sort of in between the Rev Gear and the others.
Yeah.
Thumb position's good. It's just secure. This would be a big guy's glove, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels really secure. Even the knuckle position's not perfect.
A lot of people, like when they comment on the Twins, do say they feel like pillows, and that's my kind of thing that I'm not so keen on, personally. So if I go back to the odd one out here, which has definitely got a little bit of a nod in the direction of the old Twins, but you can see that the profile on it is quite thin in comparison. But it's not. Would you see that as being an advantage when you're blocking kicks, as opposed to, say, something like that which has got far less padding on the back of the hand, but the padding is more up front on the knuckles? Or would you just think it's so?
Depends. I mean, we usually, like when you're training, you've got shin pads on, but yeah, it's more like to maybe hurt the top of your hands here with those and these.
If you weren't using shin guards.
Yeah. So like good.
But obviously they're both sparring gloves, so there's no functionality for a fight, so that doesn't come into it at all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, just some people probably just feel more secure with these ones.
Right.
They're more of a puncher's glove.
Yeah.
These are more of a
blocker's glove.
Yeah.
Being punch glove.
Yeah. But yeah, your hand feels nice.
You were talking about the clinch earlier.
Yeah.
Obviously, an area of expertise that I don't particularly have is using elbows from the clinch.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the glove, when you're sparring and training, are you going to block elbows with this? So therefore the padding on the back of the hand's going to therefore be helpful?
Yeah, you are. I mean, obviously you'd only spar with elbow pads normally. If you're going to use elbows, you often don't spar with elbows a lot in Thai boxing, and you often clinch train without gloves anyway, just to get used to the technique. If I was to clinch train, I wouldn't wear 16-ounce gloves. I use my smaller gloves, my pad gloves. Obviously, these just something to consider. Yeah, if you are a Thai boxer, these would be a bit of a nightmare to clinching because it'd be very hard to get through.
Interesting.
So, but most people who are taking it seriously would have a few pairs of gloves anyway.
So you'd be looking towards more a 10-ounce maybe with even lace-up, so there's no Velcro at all on the wrist and so on. So makes perfect sense. Okay, so we've got the last entry. I've left this one to last kind of on purpose because I kind of wanted to give it a direct comparison with the Twins. We really like this glove at Fight, so we've just brought these in. They had an older version of this which we weren't so keen on. The padding was too stiff. The leather quality wasn't as good, but they seem to have just upgraded absolutely everything about this glove. It's like the new model, if you like. They've put this mesh palm in, but instead of doing what a lot of the manufacturers have done, where they've put a huge big straight across the palm piece of mesh, which in my opinion can do nothing but lower the durability of the glove. You know, the long term, how long it lasts. Yeah, I think that this is quite a good idea, where they've kept the leather right the way across, so it isn't dropping the durability of the glove, but it's still having the advantage of letting them air once you take them out. So I like this. I like this more than the twins. It's not, wouldn't be my choice of glove. You know, I would again be choosing a more boxing orientated glove like the ringside, but this, we're talking about Thai boxing today, so that's kind of irrelevant, right? I think it's got a very, very secure wrist strap, but it's still a short wrist strap. The thumb feels in a pretty decent position. I feel like I could punch up or I could punch across, but it's still got that big bit of bulkiness that I feel like the twins has got, whereas the Rev Gear certainly doesn't have, and the Fairtex has probably got less of it as well, but it's still got quite a bit of padding on the back of the hand. The profile is much fatter than the Rev Gear, but very similar to the twins. I would say that they're nigh on the same, aren't they? You know, if we look at that there, they're very, very close. And even if you look at the thumbs here, I don't know how well the camera can see it, but the thumbs are very, very similar. There's a little bit of an innovative design on the palm, where it crosses over that rather than goes straight. I don't know whether that's going to give any serious advantage, but I certainly like the way it looks. Yeah. But let's see what our Thai boxing expert thinks. So, what's your impressions of this one?
Knock feels good.
Yeah.
Hand feels secure. It's good wrist position as well. Yeah, these are good. I'd happily use these as sparring gloves. 16 ounce, feel big, feel good.
How do you feel it compares to the twins? Do you think it's very similar? I feel there's some upgrades in there, but
I think it's pretty similar. I like how it's not quite as big up here, personally. And I think, yeah, twins are almost had too much, like you said, like pillows, very sort of spongy. These are good. Like my hand, there's good balance. My hand feels protected. And
I don't want to sound at all negative about this glove, because this glove is such an industry standard that I definitely don't want to give any negativity about it. It's so well made. It's so well put together. It's very elegant in its design, but I feel there's definitely a couple of things about this that like attract me to it. You know.
Yeah. Just compare.
Yeah. So, like, we'll go for a summary. So we had Sandy. The main points that we didn't like, just stop me if I say anything that you disagree with, but the thumb position and the fingers position is just all wrong. I mean, this is just wrong. It might work for a much smaller guy, but I just can't see how the thumb's going to come into a better place no matter what size hands you have. What size was this?
I think they're 10s.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned about the space between the cuff and the actual glove itself. As Juan's pointed out, it may have been because this is the only one that's actually been used for any amount of time. It pushes into the glove over time. I don't think I want to comment on that. I found that the palm ended up being in the wrong position too. My palm is almost back into the wrist cuff. Yeah, which just can't be the right thing. I think it could be a size issue to a large degree, but on the plus sides, the build construction is definitely good. These have been used. You can see that these have been used for a while. They last years. Yeah, I think with all these gloves, the Velcro tends to go before the actual glove does.
Yeah.
But it's also not too expensive. They're around £65. I believe they are. I'm probably the guy to speak to about that. Yeah. On the Fairtex, we thought it had a slightly improved thumb position, but it was in some ways similar to the Sandy, or other Sandy's probably copied the Vertex. Great construction, definitely an improvement over here, but a small guy's glove. Yeah. I mean, what weight category do you think people would want to be bombing this out?
So 70 and under, really.
70 and under.
Yeah.
70 and under, you want to be using it. Above 70 kilos, start thinking about these three. Would that be a fair summary?
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah,
definitely.
So, you like the rev gear. Surprisingly, you seem to be quite drawn to this. Like, I thought you'd want the gloves from Thailand, you know?
Yeah, I was surprised by them.
Yeah.
I'd say, I mean, without trying to sound too I'd say I was torn between the rev gear and the Dangers today.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's definitely interesting.
I thought that would be a good puncher's glove, not the perfect position.
Yeah.
If you've had any hand injuries or something like that, maybe not for you.
Yeah, you might want the extra padding afforded by one of those. Yeah.
But if your hands are fresh and you like letting your hands go,
that's the glove to take out the bunch. And these two, there's not a lot between them.
No.
But there is actually 20 quid price difference, which is 25% difference in the pricing. So maybe if you were going to make a choice between the two, then it's going to be whether you want orange or black or blue. But yeah, but both a good glove.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Big, good sparring gloves. Lots of padding.
Yeah.
Feels secure. Yeah.
So when's your next fight? Do you know?
I don't know.
You got one lined up?
Nah, I'm just waiting to see. The last one was on a big show, so I'm just going to wait until after that.
Okay.